Right now, on these streets, he is in charge. Barbecue, they call him. Jimmy Chiritse, the leader of a collective of gangs, street fighters who have effectively pulled off a coup.
Today we are telling the international community to give Haiti a chance. We Haitians have to decide who is going to lead the country and what model of government we want.
He was reacting from the streets to the resignation of the Prime Minister, prevented from returning to his own country, forced to step down in neighboring Puerto Rico. The government I am running, he said, will remove itself immediately after the establishment of a transitional presidential council. The images from the past week reflect this slide into chaos. At the approach road to the country's main airport, they run for cover. The army still controls it, but it remains closed to flights. No way to escape, no aid coming in. The seaport has reportedly reopened after government forces pushed gangs back, but at a cost. The number of dead and injured continues to rise. The US Secretary of State joined an urgent meeting of regional leaders in Jamaica this week, a collective effort to install a transitional government and a path to elections. And at the US State Department, the spokesman hinted at the big concern for America.
But certainly we have seen a very unstable security situation, and we know that what often happens when you have an unstable security situation, as you reference in the question, is an increase in people attempting to flee the country.
It is the alignment of rival gangs together fighting government forces which has prompted this latest turn for a country that's been failing for years. These are images from a gang leader's drone, spotting government military vehicles, tracking the movement of an army from the air. And this is a moment from last week's prison break when gangs freed thousands. Government forces on the roof, again, gangs spotting their targets. Last year, Sky News toured the streets and alleys controlled by Barbecue. A former policeman, self-cast now as a Robin Hood for the people here, but cast by others as a straightforward gangster. He is internationally sanctioned. He denies links to numerous murders. His message now that the Haitian people will hold their nation's destiny, but it's one being driven, for now, by him. Mark Stone, Sky News.
Now to breaking news in our nation's capital. The U.S. House of Representatives has passed a bill that would ban TikTok in the U.S. unless its Chinese parent company sells the social media platform. KTLA's Trevor Shirley live in Washington with the latest for us. Trevor, good morning.
Frank, good morning to you as well. This vote just coming down in the House within the past hour or so. It was an overwhelmingly bipartisan vote. The final vote count coming in at 352 to 65. And because there was so much buy-in from both sides of the aisle, it could certainly influence how the Senate votes whenever this bill gets over to that side of Congress. The legislation comes amid growing concern over the Chinese government's ability to access data collected by TikTok.
This is a serious issue. We didn't come to it lightly.
Last week, a House committee unanimously passed the legislation that could potentially ban the social media app here in the U.S.
Algorithms tracking people. It's dangerous for our young people, and we got to find a way to rein it in.
As it stands, the bill would force the Chinese company ByteDance to sell its ownership of TikTok or face a U.S. ban.
What we're dealing here with.
First, the breaking news overnight and Putin's new threat saying he's ready to use nuclear weapons after Ukraine's massive drone strike on Russia. Foreign correspondent James Longman starts us off. Good morning, James.
Yeah, good morning, George. Vladimir Putin has said he's ready to use nuclear weapons if there is a threat to Russia's statehood. In a wide-ranging interview this morning, he actually said it was up to the United States to calm the situation and avoid a nuclear war. This is as overnight Ukraine launched a massive drone attack on Russian energy infrastructure, actually the largest single attack of its kind since the war began. More than 60 drones launched in 6 different regions. An oil refinery among those targets hit. That's actually the second night in a row that that an oil refinery has been targeted. Ukraine is trying to disrupt fuel deliveries to the front line in its war, and also Russian energy exports more broadly. This is as this weekend Russians head to the polls in the presidential elections. Vladimir Putin has changed the constitution, so technically he can remain in power until 2036. It is all but certain he's going to win another 6-year term, especially since most opposition leaders are either in exile, in jail or dead, and the most famous of whom was, of course, Alexei Navalny, whose funeral earlier this month drew thousands of people. Robin?
Well, certainly. So as Robert Hur was testifying on Capitol Hill today, the leaders of our nation's intelligence agencies, they were also on the Hill, and that included the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, who for the second day in a row is warning you, the American people, that the U.S. is facing perhaps more serious threats right now than at any other time. Pay attention. Take a look.
I believe that the terrorist threat level that we're contending with right now is at a whole nother level from an already heightened terrorist threat level that we were seeing even before October 7th. And I say that for a variety of reasons. First, you've seen a veritable rogues gallery of foreign terrorist organizations calling for terrorist attacks against us in a way that we haven't seen in a long, long time. And these are terrorist organizations, as this committee knows very well, which often don't see eye to eye on much, but they seem to see eye to eye on this.
Here with reaction is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. I would assume that probably he'll be apologizing for using the word illegal, Senator, but this is not a laughing matter. What the FBI director is saying here is this is the worst threat we've had since 9/11. This sounds to me like the canary in the coal mine, and he's basically telling this country to prepare for a terror attack. I have identified Iran, Syria, Afghanistan, also Egypt, Russia, and China. Why are they coming to our southern border? And why doesn't the FBI director insist that Joe Biden stop aiding and abetting in the law-breaking and enforce the laws of our country? Shouldn't he be doesn't he have the authority to do that, Senator?
Absolutely, yes. The FBI director is exactly right. The terror threat to this country is enormous. It is greater than it has been at any time since September 11th. We've had 10.4 million people cross illegally since Joe Biden became president. The open borders we have, when I'm down on the southern border, as you know, I spend a lot of time down on the southern border. Border Patrol agents are actively looking for Hamas, for Hezbollah, for Palestinian Jihad, for terrorists coming across. They have called for terrorists to carry out acts like October 7th. On October 7th, 1,200 people were murdered in Israel. And what these terrorists are calling for is the same sort of mass murder here in the United States. And Joe Biden and every congressional Democrat, they are complicit. They refuse to do anything to stop it. And I'll tell you even worse than that. It's not even just that Biden and the Democrats are overwhelmed and they don't know how to stop the flow coming in. The news just broke in the last 2 weeks that Joe Biden, the Biden administration, actively flew over 320,000 illegal immigrants from their home countries into the United States, into 43 different airports. Now, we don't know that because Biden told the American people. We don't know that because Biden told Congress. We know that because of a lawsuit under the Freedom of Information Act. They were forced to acknowledge that. But they will not tell you what 43 airports they are, what cities they're flying people into. But understand, they're flying people from Venezuela. They're flying people from their home countries into America to come illegally. This is an invasion, and it's an invasion that Biden and the Democrats want for political reasons, and they don't care if people die as a price for their partisan control.